Hey y'all, Jim here, Keith behind the camera, the Colorado crew, and 1937 ULH. This is the 80-inch flathead. First year of the UL, first year of this frame after the first NUC in 36. And this machine belonged to a good friend of mine who's no longer with us. We're going to do our thing to it in his honor, in Scruffy's honor. So something cool I wanted to show you that I just learned. And anybody that thinks they know everything about these old bikes, is a liar, because you never stop learning stuff, and this is a good example. So anyway, we got this bike home. When I got it, I didn't really have a chance to look it over good because it's just buried in Scruff's shed, and so I could kind of peek around, but I really didn't get a good look at it. So of course, first thing when we got it here, I wanted to pop the tanks off, get a good look at the frame, pop the heads off, look at the motor's looking great. But this frame really had me stumped, because 1937, the first thing that everybody looks for is the open brake stay. So come over to this side and you'll see I'm looking, and the brake stay has a welded cap. Okay, so that's the first thing that threw me off. But then I'm looking up here at the frame, and if you come up here and look, I'll throw a little light on it, but the hallmark, the big hallmark on the frame right here, that is a super good indication of 1937 frame. Also, the brazed front motor mount down here, which you won't be able to see with the camera, but I scraped it away a little bit here, and it's obviously brazed in there. So I'm baffled. The other real tell on a 1937 frame is, and Keith, you'll have to kind of zoom in between the spokes, the blocks, the blocked toolbox mount back here. Okay, in 1938 this went to a couple of swedged threaded washers. So anyway, I'm looking at the toolbox mount, and I'm looking at the hallmark and saying this is 1937. Then I look at the closed brake stay and I'm confused. Okay, then I pull the gas tanks off and I find that the lower tank bar here, right here, that is 1 inch. Now in 37, that's a 7/8 inch bar. Okay, so I'm completely baffled. So I start sending photos around. My buddy Matt Olson up there at Carl's Cycle Supply in South Dakota says, Jim, look at the seat post casting on the frame on the right side and see if there's numbers stamped in there. And I said, well, okay. So I look here, and sure as hell, there's a 4-digit with a dash number stamped in the seat post casting. So I send it back to him. I said, Matt, there is numbers there. What the hell does that mean? He tells me, and this was confirmed also by Jeff Kaufman, another buddy up in Oregon at Jeff's American Cycle. This frame, at some point in the 1940s, was sent back to Harley-Davidson to be straightened. Okay, back in the day, up until about, nobody really knows for sure, but around 1950, 51, 52, you didn't get a replacement frame. Harley straightened your frame, which also explains why this machine has a 1940 and later front fork. So, here's how it goes. Sometime in the 40s, this frame took a hit, it bent the front end, and it bent the frame. The frame was stripped by the dealer, whoever the dealer was that dealt with this bike, stripped it, sent the frame back to Milwaukee to the factory. The factory straightened the frame. While they had the frame in, they updated the 7/8 inch lower tank frame bar here to a 1 inch, and they added the closed brake stay upgrade like would have been in 1938 and later. And then they stamped these numbers in the frame, which correspond to a work order number at the Harley factory, and this was because, I'm sure, they wanted to keep track of the frames they were straightening in case they got a frame back maybe the second time or the third time or whatever, and they didn't want to, you know, continue to repair a frame. This identified to Harley what was done exactly, or if somebody bought the bike and they wanted to know what the damage was, like your Carfax now, they could get a hold of Milwaukee and give them that number, and they could tell them exactly what was done to the frame. So what we have is a real, not a parts bike, but a real 1937 ULH. It explains why the fork is a little later. It explains why the frame doesn't match the specs in Palmer's book as far as what a 37 frame is. And we know that the frame repair was done at the Farley factory because of these numbers. There's a bunch of knucklehead and panhead frames out there with these numbers on them. Most people don't know what they are. I didn't until yesterday. So now you know what I know. And we keep learning, and we keep doing, and we keep these antique bikes alive. So we appreciate the help from our friends and your interest in what we're doing here, and we'll show you some progress on this 37 80-inch flatty as we get it together, and this thing is going to be one of the coolest bikes ever when we get it done. So best to you and yours, and thanks for watching.